of. And hopefully Santa Claus was very good to the people listening, and especially the children. So I have a unique show today because I have invited several guests on the show to really talk about the fact that many of us are put in this position of being a not only a child to an aging adult, but one that has to assist them in making hard choices. And I've invited 3 guests here to be on the show here today to really talk about some of the challenges, unique challenges that we deal with, especially some of us that are raising families as well as dealing with our aging adults, mainly our parents or maybe even grandparents, and dealing with some of the challenges that come along with it. If you're just listening to the show for the first time, we talk about the aging adult population. We talk about some of the resources out there to help many of our people in our community to age successfully in place. And the resources are numerous. We've had elder law attorneys on the show. We've had geriatric physicians on the show. We've had people on the show that deal with long-term care insurance, health plans, etc. So you can find our show here weekly on Fridays from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And without further ado, I want to introduce to our audience our guests that I have on the show. So to my left is the owner of Money Radio, been around for 25 years, Ron Cohen. Welcome, Ron.
Hey, Bob. Glad to be here, and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you for being on with us today, Ron. And just to the left of him is Mark Lerner. Mark is an associate attorney over at Taubman & Associates, and he's also an MBA, and he's got an incredible background, and we're going to let you talk a little bit about that maybe in our second or third segment. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Bob. It's great to be here.
Good to have you. And then to his left and to my right is my brother Jonathan, who just arrived in for the holidays from San Diego.
Glad to be here, Bob. Happy Boxing Day to you and Ron and Mark and everybody listening.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned Boxing Day. Mark, you gave me a little bit of a tidbit about Boxing Day. What is Boxing Day for our listening audience?
20 years ago, my wife and I happened to be in London on December 26th, and if you look at a regular calendar, Boxing Day is on your Hallmark calendar, the calendars you buy from the store, but most Americans know very little about what it is. As we were doing a walking tour of London, our guide pointed out that Boxing Day hails from a concept in, I like to think of it as Dickensian England, when there was really a division between those who had and those who did not have anything. So Boxing Day speaks to the wealthy, those who had, boxing up their leftovers and giving them to those less fortunate who may not have had a Christmas goose or a feast with their family on Christmas.
Well, I'll tell you what a great concept and a great idea, because so many of us are so giving to our community, and for those that don't have, I mean, what a nice thing to do is share their presence, share the things that they have more of abundance of. So I love the premise of the holiday, and thank you for sharing that with us, Mark.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know, one of the things that's unique to all of us here is, you know, we've been put in the role of an aging adult child and having to have, you know, some really difficult discussions with our family members. And, you know, Ron, I know that you are actively involved in the care of your mom who lives out of state. Mark, likewise for yourself. You're also dealing with your mom right now. Prior to, you were dealing with your father. God rest his soul. I know you lost him a couple years ago. And Jonathan, you and I had a very similar path. We cared for our mom, and just for our listening audience, 1985, January 2nd, was a very different day for the Roth family in the sense that, you know, it changed all of our lives. My mother had a massive heart attack and was never quite the same. And you know, you talk about the aging adult being put in a different role. My brother Jonathan was were you a freshman or sophomore?
Sophomore in college.
He was a sophomore in college down at the University of Miami, and he never went back for a second semester. And he gave up his semester to be at home to care for our mother, who was recovering from this massive coronary. And like I've shared with our audience before, it was never quite the same.
It was a challenging time, but I was more than happy to do it. But really, in essence, I became at a very young age 19 years old, I became a caregiver to our mother, and at the same time was taking her role to take care of our grandmother, which is what she would do. So not only was I taking care of my mother, I picked up 2 college courses, and then I'd be going to pick up my grandmother, our grandmother, to take her shopping and do her errands, and then making sure my mother was exercising and going to heart coronary class, which at the time, was amazing because she was the only woman in it. And you'd see all these older guys in their 70s doing cardiac class. And my mother at the time was
66.
No.
Oh, actually,
she was
48.
only 48 years
48.
old.
Yes, 48 years old.
Yeah, and the wildest part is that both Bob and I now have surpassed that age. Makes me think and makes us very cognizant of our own health care and taking care of ourselves and making sure that we both have good hearts. As I've recently had coming up on my 50th year, had a stress test and a full workup just to stay on top of it.
Well, and that's a great message for our listening audience to listen in on, especially, if you have history, you've got family history, and you're genetically disposed a certain way, you should be getting checked up, whether it be, cardiac, whether it be for cancer, whether it be whatever challenge your family had gone through, you should be doing that on a regular basis. And, Jonathan, I mean, that was incredible that you went through. You talk about growing up really fast. From a sophomore year in college to doing real life things and taking some courses. I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but I so appreciate what you did in helping our mom out. And Ron, I'm going to just defer over to you because I know you have siblings, and you're probably the one that's the closest to your mom geographically, and maybe also the closest as it relates to siblings. You're a middle child, right?
Yes, middle of 3 boys.
Yeah, something about that. I knew you and I had a lot in common. I'm a middle child too, so something about us middle children. And Mark is a middle child.
Middle of 3.
Middle of 3. So there's a lot to be said for us middle people. We probably got the short end of the stick when we were growing up because so much favoritism was given to the oldest and the youngest.
Tell us about that, Bob.
We were very resilient. You know what? I should probably have a therapy class to talk about.
I think that's a whole nother radio show.
No, but Ron, in your case, you are intimately involved in the care for your mom. And I want to just have you share, with our listening audience, some of the roles that you've taken on because you don't live in the same city. But you are her caregiver.
Correct. Well, we all commiserate on kind of the same set of circumstances, and she's 80 years old. She lives alone in Las Vegas, Nevada. So geographically, I'm the closest offspring to her, and she's at that transition of being able to live independently and not, and so that's where you run into issues. And there's good months and bad months, and it's really not good days and bad days. She has good months and bad months, and lately it's been quite good. So I think when we tried to get her some help once, it kind of was a wake up call. That was over 2 years ago now.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I was just there, and I do the things for her that she can't do on her own, and outside of that, we stay in contact and we support her as much as we can, and kind of in our minds await the day that things are going to have to change, and we know it's inevitable.
It's interesting because even though you're an hour and 15-minute flight away from Las Vegas, a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to be doing the care every day. You are a caregiver, and a lot of people are in that caregiving role and don't realize that they're doing that or enabling somebody to remain as independent as they would like to be. We're coming up on a break. I'd like to have some more discussion on it. And Mark, I want to talk a little bit about what you're going through personally right now. So you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And I've got in our studio today, I've got Ron Cohen, the president and CEO of Money Radio. I've got Mark Lerner, who's an associate attorney over at Taubman Associates, and I got my baby brother, Jonathan Roth, in from San Diego, telling us a little bit about what it was like caring for my mom. We will be right back.
Let's
Let's see how much you know about money.
It's green.
How to make it.
Don't they use a printing press?
How to spend it.
Just hand it to the person behind the counter.
How to invest it.
What's that?
If you or someone you know is a bit weak on some of these points, then you'll want to make Money Radio a part of your daily routine. Because when it comes to money, we cover all the bases. We're at 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and online at moneyradio1510.com.
Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM invites you to tune in to the One Show with smart money strategies for you. We take your calls and questions about your financial plans and retirement plans every single day on the Ray Lucia Show. That's Monday through Friday from 8 until 9 a.m. on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Tune in this and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. as Ray is joined by Medeiros Futuro. Visit PreciousTimber.com for more information.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here, inviting you to join me for the one talk show in America designed to help you make better money moves. Get strategies and solutions to help you manage your most important financial decisions and the latest from Washington and Wall Street. It's the Ray Lucia Show, weekday mornings at 8 on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Tune in this and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. as Ray is joined by Auction Systems. Visit auctionandappraise.com for more information.
How can you potentially avoid future losses in the stock market like the ones we've experienced in 2000, 01, 02, and 2008? Call Anil Vazirani and Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200, and learn about active money managers that have had positive returns in those years. How strong and stable are the vital signs of your financial institution? Learn about the Comdex rating score of your insurance company that your banker, broker, and insurance agent may not want you to know. Listen to Anil's On the Money radio show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. and Thursday at noon. You can also catch him on Business for Breakfast Friday mornings at 6:45. Learn about the concept of the principal protected low-cost new generation annuity and why it's superior in most cases than the high-risk, high-fee variable annuity and the obsolete hybrid income annuity. Call Anil Vazirani and Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200 to set up your strategy session or visit theripa.com. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Read the prospectus for risk, fees, and charges. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, an SEC registered investment advisor.
The world is full of cars. Therefore, the world is full of car insurance quotes. Safe Auto gets it. No conditions to save. Only the right car insurance for the right price. Safe Auto. Call, click, and enjoy the road ahead.
At Money Radio, we say,
Happy Hanukkah!
Happy Kwanzaa!
Merry Christmas! Happy New Year!
Happy Festivus!
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC Radio. Happy, healthy holidays. Hardly. This time of the year, there are more accidents, people eat more, and get real stressed out more. All of that could cost you a lot of money at the hospital and on replacement decorations. Here are some ways to save money and be safe at the same time. Buy a fake tree. Real trees bring mold and other mites into the house that can lead to respiratory issues, a doctor visit, some expensive meds. Financial stress can also get you a seat at the doctor's office. So try to keep spending in check. Start a Christmas savings plan for next year. People tend to add about 6 pounds between Christmas and New Year, so eat less. If not, don't stress, but do commit to that diet when the new year rolls around. And car accidents increased almost 20% in December. Park the car. Take mass transit. If you have to drive, don't drink. And go ahead, splurge on the more expensive and safer decorations, the ones that won't catch fire. Be happy, be healthy, have a good holiday. Chuck Kamlick, CNBC Radio.
now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And this afternoon, I have in our studio, I've got Ron Cohen, the president and CEO of Money Radio. I have got Mark Lerner, who's an associate attorney over at Taubman Associates, and I got my brother Jonathan Roth in the studio. And I want us to just jump right back in, and if you've missed the first segment, on our website at cypresshomecare.com, I've got a radio button on the far right. Scroll down to it. You can hear the first segment, and you'll be able to hear these next three, and you'll be able to hear about 45 others that we've been broadcasting live to our listening audience since the beginning of this past year. It's hard to believe that this is our last show of 2014. That blows me away, Ashley. Can you believe it? We've been together all year. And you've been putting up with me, too, so thank you.
Bob, you've done a great job, I've got to say.
Well, I appreciate that, Ron. Thank you very much. It means a lot to hear.
We love having you on the air.
Well, and I love being here, so thank you. Thank you very much. And, Mark, I wanted to come back to you, just picking up where we left off in the last segment. We were sharing, what we have been going through. And I want our listening audience to hear this because so many of you are dealing with similar issues that we are dealing with or have dealt with. And it's important to know, defining your role as a caregiver. While I have a professional home care agency, each one of us as an aging adult child puts ourselves in a caregiving role, whether you're caregiving from a distance like Ron is, or you're caregiving like my brother Jonathan did by giving up a semester of college and being right on the ground floor and assisting our mom in dealing with her cardiac challenges that she was dealing with. And Mark, you're in that same role. You're doing it remotely, long distance. Mom lives where?
My mom lives in Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington,
I was born
Kentucky.
and raised in Lexington. And I'd actually reached out to you this week because sort of the next episode, because I've tapped you as a resource previously specific to my mom, there have been some precipitating events where we are now facing probably some of the toughest choices my brother, sister, and I will have to make with respect to my mom. In fact, my brother and sister and I had our third telephonic conference in 4 days this morning.
Wow.
45 minutes to hash out, mostly making sure that we're on the same page so that we're all comfortable with the choices that need to be made and how we want to think about it and proceed, because at the end of the day, we obviously care about our mom very much. We want to preserve her dignity. We want her to feel cared for and loved. But our sad, resolution today was that her status emotionally and mentally right now is such that we probably can't win. There's probably no way we can proceed to provide a viable option that she will be okay with, because she has created a scenario where she's very isolated, very needy, and very resistant to any assistance.
That's got to be so hard, Mark. It really is. And I want our listening audience to know this about you. I mean, you are in the legal profession dealing with a lot of the stuff that you're dealing with personally, professionally.
It's true.
And it's different. It's amazing how when you are in it personally, how different it is. I mean, obviously the training that you've had has helped you, and it certainly has helped your siblings to see the light, but you can't avoid that emotional attachment, the emotional challenges that you're dealing with your mom right now.
Well, look, any attorney would... a lot of attorneys, not any, but a lot of attorneys, even if they're facing their own legal situation, would know that the tired old adage of when you represent yourself, you have a fool for a client,
right,
applies even if you're an attorney. So it's important to go and find counsel, and that would be the case even if it were here in Arizona where I practice and I'm admitted to the bar. What's interesting, and one of the roles I've had to play over the last 6 months, is exploring what the legal and statutory scheme in the state of Kentucky is, and it's really quite different than it is here in Arizona. In Kentucky, to pursue a guardianship or a conservatorship through the courts, you have to have that person declared by the court either disabled or partially disabled. And in order to do that, there are steps that must be taken. 3 different professionals have to evaluate the respondent or the person who you're trying to have deemed incompetent. So you have to have a social worker, a psychologist or a psychological professional, and then a physician. And then the burden falls to the petitioner, the party or parties petitioning, to have that person appear in court. And then the kicker, and this is what I had to explain to my sibs today, is that in the state of Kentucky, you are entitled to a jury trial.
Wow.
to be declared incompetent. So if you're willing to put up the fight, you can have it go a long and costly road all the way through a jury trial for that statement from the court.
And for our listening audience, you're a professional here in Arizona. What process do you have to go through here in Arizona?
Well, here it's not unlike that, but you would file a petition with the court. It's in a probate context. It's in probate court. And to get an adult guardianship, and actually Lon Taubman, the senior attorney in our firm, has been practicing 45 years. He's amazing, and he actually has a contract with Maricopa County and represents adult wards. So we're often a guardian ad litem or an attorney for a ward that is the party like our parents would be.
Right.
And so there's an attorney who comes in and makes sure that their best interests are represented. It's a bench trial. I mean, I suppose the most stark contrast would be after you've done evaluations, you have to prove with evidence, you have to prove it up that the person lacks the capacity. And then after that's been proven, it's really up to the judge. Now, in most circumstances, and I think this holds true in most states, Arizona or Kentucky, others, if a party is really having a hard time, they're likely to consent. So the situation becomes tricky and dirty and messy if they're going to fight, because a contested guardianship or a contested conservatorship becomes something of a battle, because the standards in most states are like a minimal adequacy. So you may not like the way the house looks, but it may not be something that rises to the level.
For our listening audience, can you describe the difference between a guardianship and a conservatorship?
Gladly. A guardianship really protects a person's day-to-day activities, makes sure they're safe, they're cared for, they're eating, and their financial and economic needs are being represented. A conservatorship really speaks to the financial side of the coin. So to be a conservator means you would be responsible for all of the financial resources, writing bills, managing portfolios. In both cases, in the state of Arizona, you must file an annual report as a guardian and or a conservator. And that way the court can keep an eye on things and make sure there's no abuse and that people are performing their fiduciary duties appropriately.
Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to ask you, the conversation that you're having, as you call it, your SIBs, you're obviously having this kind of discussion. Does Mom even see it coming? Did she think it's coming?
Mom thinks everything is okay. We have given her opportunities to try to perform some very, very basic tasks that would give us some peace of mind and protect her, and she is proven incapable. So I think the answer is no. She doesn't see it coming.
Wow. You know what? I my hat's off to you and your siblings.
Thanks.
I mean, I know this isn't easy, and especially I know you've got some really happier times coming up in your family's life in the weeks ahead. So we'll talk more about it. We're coming up on a break again. We're having a lot of fun here in the Scottsdale Air Park. It's Boxing Day. Coming to you live from the Air Park, you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And we'll be right back.
The bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
The funeral of NYPD officer Rafael Ramos will be tomorrow. Today, police stood at attention as his casket arrived at Christ Tabernacle Church. Several people are under arrest for threatening to kill police officers. Mayor Bill de Blasio is asking New Yorkers to help look out for them.
Any statements suggesting violence towards the police need to be reported to the police so we can stop future tragedies.
Terror experts say Al-Qaeda's Yemen affiliate may be plotting new attacks on the U.S. The Washington Post reports air travel and public figures may be the main targets. Sony's movie The Interview made $1 million at theaters on Thursday, but hundreds of thousands of people have downloaded it illegally. If you're returning something today, you'll have an easier time of it if you haven't opened that present. And correspondent Allison Kozik says,
also, hopefully there's a gift receipt, and if there is a receipt, go ahead and check out the return policy.
Kwanzaa starts today. The African-American holiday is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st. I'm Evan Haining.
Do you know your credit score? Have you checked it lately? Do you even know where to find it? Well, Discover Card is changing all that. Because Discover is the only credit card that gives you your FICO credit score for free on your statement and online. It doesn't get much easier than that. And knowing your credit score is important. It can have a real impact when you're looking for a car, renting an apartment, or even buying a home. It's just another way we treat you like you'd treat you. Discover Card. Free FICO credit score online and in your statement. To get yours, go to discover.com or call 1-800-DISCOVER. Limitations apply.
This week on Geico's Stuff Found in Your Car, we look inside your rear door pocket.
Oh, hey. Yeah, me, the almond. Possibly one of the healthiest snacks, just rolling around in the crumbs of inferior foods. You were too busy to save me, but are you too busy to switch your car insurance to Geico where you could save hundreds of dollars in just 15 minutes? Probably not. Saving money with Geico is awesome. Almonds, on the other hand, are just a superfood. No big deal.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
When it comes to talking about all things relating to money, nobody does it like the Valley leader for 25 years. Tell your friends about us. We're Money Radio at 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Guys, looking to bring in the new year with a bang? Gals, looking for the perfect gift for your man this holiday season that keeps on giving and giving? Don't let erectile dysfunction or low testosterone put a damper on your holiday cheer. Call Summit Male Medical, 480-398-1000, or go to summitmalemedical.com. Meet with our licensed, experienced, all-male medical staff using FDA-approved ingredients. You will see results in our office. These medications will not interfere with any medications you are currently taking, regardless of your current medical condition. And this won't put a dent in your holiday budget. I know you're shopping for others, but don't forget about yourself this Christmas. Let Summit Male Medical Center help you be naughty and nice this holiday season. So there's no reason not to call Summit Medical today. 480-398-1000 or go to summitmalemedical.com. Santa fully endorses Summit, and so does Mrs. Santa.
Risk. How much risk are you willing to take? Have you ever noticed when you're talking to your broker, you sometimes are talking about two different things? Let's talk the word risk. What does that mean to you? Is it a set of specific mathematical definitions and equations, often with percentages thrown in? Does that formula answer your questions about risk, or does risk mean something more? Market swings do influence investment decisions, but shouldn't take away from how you assess long-term financial goals. Risk is not the same as volatility. Call certified financial planner Nancy Fleming of Fleming Financial Services and let her help you find what's right for you. Nancy Fleming has over 20 years experience and is one of a select group who have met the rigorous and ethical requirements to earn the designation of certified financial planner. Call Nancy today to schedule your free risk evaluation. 480-632-8770. Make sure you have your financial future on track for the new year. 480-632-8770 or visit FlemingFinancialServices.com. Safe Auto only provides the right car insurance for the right price. You'll never have to bundle or switch or anything else to save. Safe Auto. Call, click, and enjoy the road ahead.
Amazon had a good holiday. This is the Dow Jones Money Report. I'm Jen Ursulo. Amazon's free shipping program, Amazon Prime, added a record 10 million new members during the holiday season. It shipped items to 185 countries, with customers ordering more than 10 times as many items with same-day delivery over 2013. Fire TV was the best-selling streaming media box this season. Amazon also said about 60% of its customers used a mobile device to do their shopping. Stocks remain higher, putting the major benchmarks on track for new all-time highs. Dow Jones Industrials are up 59 points to 18,089. The Nasdaq is up 40 points. The S&P 500 is up 10. Crude oil prices are down 2% at $54.58 a barrel, while oil prices have slumped nearly 50% since June. The slide has been less severe since mid-December. Microsoft Xbox Live is back up and running, but Sony PlayStation is still down after the video game networks were hit by a possible hack yesterday. A hacker group called Lizard Squad claimed responsibility for the problems on its Twitter site. I'm Jen Ursulo with the Dow Jones Money Report.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-925-3107. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-925-3107. That's 1-800-925-3107. Call 1-800-925-3107.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and my name is Bob Roth. And then we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. It is Boxing Day, December 26, 2014. And if you're just tuning in, I've got Ron Cohen, the president and CEO of Money Radio. I've got Mark Lerner from Taubman & Associates, and I've got my brother Jonathan Roth here in the studio. I want to go back to you, Mark. First of all, I really, really appreciate you sharing with us, what you're dealing with. And this is stuff that is happening right now as we speak. So it's a very fluid situation, as they call it. And Ron's situation is equally as fluid, but he's got his mom in a place that she's doing much better than she was months or a year ago.
Well, and let me speak just a little bit to that. There's things available now, that resources, even for someone that is alone in another state, that my brother and I are able to affect for her. And my mother has welcomed it. Number one, we order groceries online for her and have them delivered. If she doesn't feel like, or we see, I handle all her financial, so I can see all the activity. I know when she's gone and used her debit card. And so I know where she goes. And I can tell if she hasn't been to the grocery store. We'll start querying her on, do you have enough food in the house? And so we'll order those online. I was telling Mark earlier that I found a laundry service locally that will come and pick up her clothes, or the items that need to be laundered, and wash them, fold them, and bring them back. She loves that.
That's awesome.
So, those are some things that she's been resistant to putting a caregiver directly in the house, because she still does want to live independently, but she's welcomed some of these other things that we're able to do remotely.
Thank you for sharing that, and for our listening audience to know that those resources are available, even if you're not an hour and 15-minute flight away. If you're living in the same city, you can still get those services for the ones you love, making sure that they're eating and making sure their homes, their laundry is cleaned. I will tell you, one of the biggest challenges that we deal with at Cypress Home Care Solutions is that many of the clients that we care for have challenges with eating, and they're skipping meals, and we want to make sure that they're getting the proper nutrition, and that's something that is often ignored, if you would. Mark, thank you for sharing with what you're doing. And as I was saying before, it's a fluid situation, and I know it's unraveling as we speak. I'm just curious to, what are you and your siblings thinking about next steps and what you're doing?
I sort of have to go back in time a little bit, and Ron and I were just talking about this a little bit off the air. But we had a serious moment about a year and a half ago where my brother and sister and I basically had an intervention. Mm-hmm. That things had risen to the level, and we said, here are the steps you must take. You have to demonstrate that you can take care of yourself by doing these 3 or 4 simple things. One of them was to make sure that her alarm is fully functional so that she can have a sense of security. One was to get a medical alert, because my mom is dangerously obese and has a very, very difficult time walking. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that she's going to be one of these people who is found in her home because she fell and was unable to get up, and didn't have a medic alert or some means to communicate. So,
and when you say medic alert, I just want our listening audience to know it's not the bracelet that you're wearing. You're talking about a personal alarm system, kind of a life alert, so that if she does fall, she can push a pendant and somebody can call
Actually,
it.
her monitoring service is ADT, and ADT,
Perfect.
I just happened to, ADT's getting a plug.
Yep. There you go.
But I was just researching that it's called a medical alert system, and you get it as a supplement to the existing alarm system. But if you were to fall, you have a pendant you carry. It's a wristband or a necklace. You
Right.
can push, and it sends that signal to 911. So they know they got to get over to this house at this address. Someone's in need of emergency medical attention. So my siblings and I have been talking about the next steps because, much to our chagrin, there were some precipitating events where all the means of communication were down. We had no way of reaching her, and she chose to reach out to people locally who were ill-prepared to serve as an assistant. So they did. They came over, and then they sent a pretty serious nastygram to my brother and sister and I saying they're done. Absolutely 100%. Do not put me on a contact list. We will never do this again.
Wow.
So my siblings and I are now having to figure out how to proceed with the most logical points of contact, saying, we don't want to know, leave us out of it. So that's an especially challenging piece. So
you're on your own now.
We are.
Yeah.
And I'm 2,000 miles away, and my siblings are both roughly 400-ish miles away, about a 6-hour drive for both of them. So we are now figuring out how to proceed, and probably the way we feel would at least give us the most autonomy is to seek out a really outstanding social worker, and it may end up being that we find a PhD level psychologist or someone to go in and do a home visit and provide some data, because ultimately we're going to need some data. The other choice would be to call Adult Protective Services, but that sets a process in motion that once it starts moving, that train leaves the station and it's going full steam ahead.
Right. And with regard to that PhD or social worker type, when you and I are done on the air today, I may be able to help you in that regards, because that's what we're about at Cypress, but I also have a much greater reach throughout the country, and I may know somebody that might be able to be of assistance for you. But really, logically, as Ron said, you are on your own. Everyone else has just said, like you said, they threw in the towel, and they're throwing it back to you and your siblings and saying, it's your problem, you deal with it. That's got to be really hard.
It is. That is not a surprise. And in fairness to those folks, my mother has abused the relationship for a long time, and the sad part is she doesn't recognize that people are going out of their way to help her. She believes that it's what they need to do.
Like an entitlement.
It is an entitlement.
Yeah, I've been there.
And that makes it very challenging, because the metaphor that I've used in the past is that of a cat that you see on the street, and you give the cat a little saucer of milk because you're going to be nice. Like, I'm going to do this little gesture, and the cat comes and gets milk, and then the next day the cat comes back and meow, meow, meow. I need more milk, and you keep doing it. The cat just keeps coming, and then eventually you're like, I want to be done with this, so you have to just cut the cat off.
Right.
And I think that there's been this escalation over time where my mom has maybe not been as appreciative of the kindness of others.
Right. I get it. And it's interesting. First of all, I want our listening audience to hear Mark say about the personal alert system, medical alert system. There are many of them, many people out there, many providers out there. And, Jonathan and I did not have that luxury when we were caregivers for our mom. And back in 1985, there weren't companies like Cypress Home Care Solutions. But I can remember, Jonathan, trying to get a hold of Mom, and whether it's a busy signal or she wasn't answering, and either you or I or our brother Joe would run over there, and we weren't sure what we were going to find.
Well, the technology was there, actually. Our grandmother had one of those life alerts, but she, at that age, she was in her 60s, she felt like she was too young for it.
Right.
And that was the part. So she was in denial.
Yeah,
and that was the issue. She never thought she needed that kind of thing.
And I would say most people, whether they're in their early 60s or even 70s, I mean, the definition of a senior doesn't apply to them.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
That AARP card comes and everybody doesn't believe that they actually deserve one.
Yeah, well, I got one of those, or at least they tried to sell me one or get me to buy in. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We have to take a break for commercials. We're down 3 segments. We got one more to go, gentlemen. We will be right back.
Education, professionalism, and client care are at the heart of what Real Living Property for You is all about. Their agents have extensive knowledge to keep you updated on the latest in the real estate market. Quality service combined with the newest technology sets Real Living Property for You apart from its competitors. To learn more, call 623-385-7000 or go to reallivingpropertyforyou.com. In this ever-changing real estate market, you need someone with all the technology, tools, and experience to ensure that you get the right property in the right neighborhood and, of course, at the best price. Real Living Property for You will match you with the perfect agent for your buying and selling experience. And as part of the 5th largest real estate company in the nation, Real Living Property for You didn't arrive at that distinction by doing things like everyone else. Give them a call and find out what they're talking about. Call 623-385-7000. That number again is 623-385-7000 or go to reallivingpropertyforyou.com. Real Living Property for You, where their agents are one step ahead.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-818-0191, 800-818-0191, 800-818-0191, 800-818-0191.
With most businesses, when something goes wrong with computer systems, you call someone to fix it. Team Logic IT has a better way. It's called System Watch, Managed IT Services. System Watch monitors 24/7, performs remote diagnostics, identifies risks, schedules scans for virus and spyware, plus generates reports keeping you up to date. So while you're busy running your business, Team Logic is busy running your computers. For a limited time, get a free system assessment and a 2-week trial of System Watch. Call Team Logic IT, 602-254-5558, or go to tryteamlogic.com.
Hi, this is Colonel Kurt Gallegos, commander of the Air Force Reserve's 944th Fighter Wing at Luke Air Force Base here in Arizona. Serving part-time in the Air Force Reserve in Arizona will allow you to advance your civilian career or continue your education. You will receive excellent training, educational assistance, and many other benefits. I encourage you to start your adventure in the Air Force Reserve by going to afreserve.com or calling 800-257-1212. This message is sponsored by the Air Force Reserve and aired by the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Give your business a boost. Register to attend the 11th Annual Women Entrepreneur Small Business Boot Camp at www.womensbusinessbootcamp.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And we're sitting here in the studio talking with Ron Cohen, Mark Lerner, and Jonathan Roth. And we're talking about us as basically the adult children dealing with our aging adult parents. And, you know, Mark, I really appreciate you opening up with us and sharing with us the situation that you're dealing with. And so many of our listeners are dealing with similar situations with their aging adult parents. And it's hard. And, you know, Jonathan and I were talking at the break especially with mom, she's not mobile, she's obese, and she's not moving. Jonathan, you were describing some of the challenges that we were dealing with our own mother, who had some scar tissue relative to being intubated. She had some, weight issues. I mean, it was a spiraling, event that just kept getting worse and worse. And a lot of our aging adult parents are taking lots of medications. And, one of the things that, I said to you at the break, and certainly, I think all of us wish you success in getting mom help. But one of the things that I think you'll find out is, the medications lead to a lot of the challenges that you may be dealing with, and getting those right is definitely part of that. And I applaud you. I mean, I wish you great success, and I don't think any of us have any fast and easy answers. And going the route where maybe we can find a social worker, maybe with a PhD, to sit her down and talk to her about her options is probably the easiest. May not be one that will work out. And the other extreme is doing APS, and nobody wants to call APS, especially on your parents or your mother in your case. But you got to do what you got to do to protect her.
I got a question, Bob. I don't know if this is for you or for Mark, but we saw this coming with our own mother. I'm sure you may have seen it coming, and I'm sure people out there that have that situation. So I feel like there was a lack of preparedness on behalf of my siblings and myself in trying to get her to accept what it was going to be like 2, 3, 5 or more years down the road, and have that kind of dialogue. And it seems like, and I don't know that, it may have been the same result, but what do you must get, you're in that space, Bob. What do you find yourself doing there and advising your clients on?
It's interesting you bring that up, Ron, and I got to tell you, there's a word that's used, and especially in the caregiving role, is that you become the accidental caregiver. No one ever really plans on being in this position. But to your point, you're seeing signs, and you see signs of someone you love and you care about. I think the first step is trying to have that conversation, having the intervention that you and your siblings did, and you as well with yours, to sit down and try to help them understand that there is solutions out there. There are options out there to live a better, healthier, happier life than the one you're leading right now. I don't have any fast and hard answers, but I will tell you that there are people that specialize in this, and you're very bright to realize that maybe it's a social worker with a PhD, somebody that is a geriatric care manager that has those resources available to them. It's interesting because when you're part of the family, you would think that people would be more open to listening to you, especially someone like you, Mark, who is a professional. You're an attorney. You deal with these types of things with your clients day in and day out. But when you're in the thick of things, there's too much emotions going on. They don't see you as a professional, as an attorney. They see you as the son. They go back and look at you as that little boy who was 8 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, that you really don't know. I'll tell you what, try being the in-law, because they really don't listen to the son-in-laws or their the brother-in-law or sister-in-law. But Ron, there isn't a fast and easy answer, but I do think that you need to get another set of eyes, some people that have experience in it. Geriatric care managers are the first people I think about who are professionals, and you can find them on the internet. There's a National Geriatric Care Managers Association, and you can find individuals in your areas. And what I would suggest to you, and I will do this with you, we'll look in Lexington because that's where Mom is, to see who may be there, because most of those people are social workers. Many of them have masters in social work, and some of them even have a law degree. So they do have some experience in that area and experiencing with that.
But part to Ron's point, isn't there a list, like I know I've seen from Cyprus, that you have like a list of signs to look for with this adult?
Oh, absolutely. And, we went over this last week on our show, and that's a great point, Jonathan. I mean, some of the things that we look for, especially around the holidays, that's when you get a chance to see your loved one where you haven't seen them in a while. you look for, hygiene. You look for bumps and bruises. You look for someone to be disoriented. You look for somebody that's asking the same question over and over again. You also look for that confusion state, if you would. You want to look at the home that they live in. And, and I think you deal with this with your mom, Mark, is you look for someone that's hoarding, where there's a lot of clutter. You want to open up the refrigerator. You want to see if, there's milk in there and if it's expired, or if there's any other expired foods that are in there, because you know that nutrition is very, very important.
He was talking about my house.
Well, we do have some challenges with our
being a bachelor.
Being a bachelor, there you go. But those are the things that you really look for. You want to look for some of the signs, and you already know what those signs are. The key is finding the solutions, and that's what we're all about. That's what this show is all about, is finding the solutions. And I think you're on the right path. I'll try to help connect you with somebody that's geographically in that area that can help you with your mom. But like you said, the last thing you want to do is try to get a court order and get her declared incompetent and have somebody come in and move in.
Well, at least as a first step.
Right. That would be your last step. But yes, right. So as a first step, you want to try to do it in a way that it will be non-threatening, because otherwise it'll be threatening. Well, it's hard to believe we are finishing up our fourth segment here, and it is Friday, and I'm sure everybody's got great plans for this weekend. Ron, what are you doing this weekend?
Football.
Yeah, football. Big Sunday coming up.
There you go. Big Sunday for the Cardinals. How about you, Mark?
This weekend we're gearing up for the weekend after, which is our youngest son's bar mitzvah. So big family fun coming up.
Well, congratulations, and as they say, mazel tov to you and your family.
I heard Santa say it too. Mazel tov from Santa.
And I'll be driving back tomorrow to sunny San Diego. A little bit warmer than the Valley of the Sun this week, and I'll be looking forward to my boys coming back from Birthright in Israel.
Oh, nice. That is really, really nice. And I got to tell you, it's hard to believe that we're going to start off a new year. The next time we're on the show, it's going to be 2015. Listen to all my listening audience. I want to wish you guys a happy new year, a happy Boxing Day. And Mark Lerner, thank you for coming on our show and sharing some of the stuff that you're dealing with personally. I appreciate that. And I hope that resonates with our listening audience. And know that Cypress Home Care Solutions is here to help you, whether it be with home care or at least finding solutions. Ron Cohen, thank you for being on the show again. And to my brother Jonathan, thank you for joining me on the air.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Everybody have a great weekend. This is Health Futures, taking stock in you. Make it a great day.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Retire and stay retired. Safe, smart, and secure. Call Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200, to get your complimentary guide to maximizing Social Security options and understanding Medicare benefits. 800-957-5604, extension 200, and on the web at theripa.com. Listen to On the Money with Anil Vazirani and Secured Financial Solutions every Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at noon. Also, to be sure to catch Anil on Business for Breakfast Friday mornings at 6:45.
The station that talks about your money, Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM is KF.